Welcome to this tutorial for using Edmodo to create a personal learning network. Edmodo was started in 2008 by two teachers. In fact, their first office was in the basement of one of these teachers' homes. Currently, there are over 27 million users of Edmodo. Educators around the world are using Edmodo to further their own learning by connecting with other educators and also to provide learning opportunities for groups of students. This tutorial is going to focus on the aspects of Edmodo an educator can use to enhance your own learning. So my first step is to log in to Edmodo, which of course you would do with your own user ID and password. And now you can see my Edmodo account. I've been able to customize it to the elements that are of interest to me. Yours will look a little bit different, but hopefully in this tutorial you'll find some ways to add to your account that fit your own learning needs. Let's start over here in the Groups section. Over in this column on the left, these are all of the groups I've created, which are actually virtual spaces for the students in the classes I teach. Another way groups could be used is for a group of educators to have a common space to collaborate on a project or conduct virtual meetings. So groups serve a lot of different functions. It's really easy to create a group. You're going to go to this plus button here and click on the button, and when you create, you'll click on that create link. Now you're going to name your group. So I'm going to name this group. This is a group I'm creating for my children's literature class. We're going to be doing a project in Edmodo. And then you'll select a grade. So I'm going to select higher education and a subject area, and I'll select language arts for my subject area. And then within that, I'll select reading. And so now I have created my group. And I'm going to estimate my group size. And my group is College Students Reading the Giver. Now I've finished creating my group. Over here's the important part that you want to be sure to jot down. This is the group code. So for my students to get into this group, I have to give them this code, or I can share the URL here on this button too, but I like to do the code, and that gets them into the group. Within, I think it's about 2 weeks after this group is created, the code is locked. So any student joining the locked group code will be waiting for my approval to get into the group, and that's just a safety check that Edmodo puts on the group. So I've created this group, and I'll eventually share the code with my students, and now it's listed here under my groups. So creating a group is as simple as that. It's a private group. Only those who have access to the code can get into the group, and so it's a safe way to create a virtual learning space that can be used with students. Besides creating a group, I can also join a community. So I'm going to scroll down here to communities, and you can see here the two communities that I've already joined. Communities provide this stream of information that you see here in the center of the screen. So the communities I'm in, the computer technology and the language arts community, people in that group are constantly posting comments and questions. So this stream of information is continually being updated with resources and other ideas. And if I wanted to, I could just sit back and follow this stream every day, once a week, however often I wanted to come into Edmodo and kind of catch up on what's going on in the communities that I'm in. Or I can go ahead and reply to something that I find interesting. So if I wanted to reply, say to Miss Higgins's message, I would click on reply, and it gives me a text box. So I would type in my comment, I would hit the reply button, and then it would appear under her post. And that way I can add to the discussion of what's happening in this kind of flowing stream of information. I also could click on the icon here with the little smile face, the Edmodo symbol, and I can use that as a way to react to someone's comment. So I could use a face, an emoticon that shows my reaction without actually having to type words. So those are two ways that a person could become involved in the discussion. But I also can join other communities. So if I go back to the left here and I see this list of show all, There, and again, it shows the communities that I'm involved in. It also shows a support community, which is a good place to go if you have questions about using Edmodo. But if I wanted to join a new community, I can go over here to Discover New Communities, and here are a list of all the communities that Edmodo has established right now. And I can look for something that's interesting to me. This is the personal part of the Personal Learning Network. And I've always been interested in this professional development community, so I'm going to click on the follow button, and once that is activated, I will be following the professional development community. So when I come back to my home page by going to the little house button up in the left corner, I now am in this stream of information. I'm going to be receiving posts from computer technology, language arts, and professional development. Now, and professional development also shows up over here in my list of communities. Now, a word of caution, once you join a community, Edmodo does do a check to make sure that you are a professional educator, and they will release you to be a part of that community once they've done that check. So that's another safety check that Edmodo has in place. So within these communities, like I said, I'm receiving their comments, questions, resources, but I can also join in. So let's say I wanted to ask a question, and I have a question here that I'm going to ask, and this question goes along with my children's literature class. So, and I'm going to send this to the language arts group. When I click on that send button, I'll receive a list of all the people that I'm connected to in Edmodo, and I can send my comment, and it gets posted, and hopefully in a day or two I'll have some feedback and be able to connect with a teacher who would be interested in partnering with us on this project. There's a lot of information that flows through this stream here, and sometimes it gets to be a lot to remember. So if you want to save something that you've encountered in this flow of information, you can actually add it to your Edmodo library. So I'm going to scroll down here, looking for a resource here that I might want to send. Wingclips.com. I'm not familiar with that. I'd like to look at that later. So I'm going to save that so I can find it easily. I'm going to this little wheel over here on the right hand corner of the post. When I click on that, you can't see those very well, but I'm going to go the one that says add, because I'm going to add a post to my library, and the library is my personal space within Edmodo where I can save interesting things. So when I scroll back up here and I see the book icon at the top, that's where my library is. So I'll go and click on that, and you can see some things I already have in my library, and then here's the post that I just added so that I could go back and figure out what wing clips are later on when I have a bit more time. Also in my library, I can add other things if I want to have a collection of resources about the same topic. So I could add something from my computer into my Edmodo library, and that would be clicking on the upload button. Let's say I'm just going to add a PDF file here. So I'm going to click on that, then click on the add button, and then that document now is added into my Edmodo library. So it's a great tool for organizing your resources. I can also add web links. So I go again to add to library, and I click on link, and one of my favorite resources for teaching spelling is Spelling City. So I'm going to the Spelling City website. I'm going to copy the URL, going back to my Edmodo library, going to paste the URL. I'm going to add the title. Oh, it did that for me, whoops. And then click the add button. And now my link to Spelling City is also within my library. I'm going to go back to the home page now, and at this point, I'd like to invite you to begin using Edmodo as a resource for your own personal learning network. Through the communities, you have access to the collective ideas of thousands of educators. And through the discussions and your personal library, you have a wealth of information and a place to store important ideas. Edmodo is a useful and popular tool for promoting learning for educators, and I hope you'll join in.